Today, I am excited to have Rachel Lindholm with us, our sustainability coordinator. Thank you so much, Rachel, for joining me.
Thank you, Maria.
So, I know we have always heard, we've grown up with the adage, reduce, reuse, and recycle. But when we think about sustainability, it's so much more than those three things. So what does sustainability and having a sustainable community mean?
Yeah, so reduce, reuse, recycle, obviously, pretty much everyone knows that. And it is very important to sustainability, and resource use is very important to sustainability, but holistically, sustainability is so much more than about the environment, right? We can think of sustainability in economic terms, we can think of it in social terms. It's really using the resources we have, but not more than we need, to provide the best life and the best community, while also taking care of future generations. So that's economic safety, jobs, housing, that's environmental safety, of course, and resources, so parks, water usage, energy usage, things like that. But it's also like social sustainability, building a community where everyone comes together to protect those other things and to make sure that everyone has access to, jobs, housing, drinking water, things like that.
A lot of times we think about sustainability as a global issue, but it is obviously a very local issue too. So why is it important for cities and specific communities like Richfield to be focused on sustainability?
It's really important because it affects all of our lives and every aspect of our lives, whether we're consciously thinking about it or not. We see that a lot in current events, especially, the pandemic is connected to sustainability. We see how increased flooding affects homes in Richfield and neighboring cities. We see how that affects, things like places like Wood Lake or Richfield Lake, and how that affects what services the city provides as well. So it's really important to look at not only these environmental events that happen in Richfield, but also, like you mentioned, happen on more of a broader scale, like the fires out west, or how the pandemic is affecting the entire world, because what happens in the world affects Richfield, and what happens in Richfield, has a broader impact as well.
So what do you do as our city's sustainability coordinator? What does the day-to-day look like?
The day-to-day, it's a really good question. There's not one answer, because my day-to-day is all over the place, because I work on a wide variety of projects. So it really just depends what I'm working on at that moment. Now, during the pandemic, I'm working on more planning rather than obviously direct outreach. Before, I would do a lot of tabling and talking to residents in person and speaking at events and things like that. And obviously now those things have kind of shifted. So I'm working more on projects like our climate action plan and energy efficiency and things like that are more behind the scenes with the future outreach aspect. So my day-to-day is emails, calls, meetings, some data analysis. What is the city doing in terms of energy usage? What does that mean in terms of the amount of money we're spending on energy? How can we reduce that? It's more than just, we left the light on in the lunchroom, right? It's about efficient technology, and it's about behavior change. So I take that and I go around to every project I work on and I look at it from a variety of lenses. Like I mentioned earlier, it's not just environmental, it's also financial, it's also social. So we have social aspects to everything. And this part of my job now is learning, okay, how are we going to continue that outreach, whether it's with staff or residents, in the era of COVID-19. So it's a little bit different, but I'm still doing that education aspect as well.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the specific projects that the city has done around sustainability?
Sure. So like I just mentioned, we are really working on a climate action plan, and that's definitely in partnership with the staff across the city as well as our Sustainability Commission. And so that's a 5-year work plan that we will be using to kind of guide Richfield's efforts in a variety of different subject areas related to sustainability. We're also working on a lot of energy efficiency efforts, like I mentioned, benchmarking the municipal usage of energy. So we're seeing how much energy different city buildings use and kind of looking at areas for improvement there. I'm also working on projects around solar energy. We have 6 arrays in the city, so constantly trying to understand how much solar we're producing, how much money that's saving us, the benefits of that project, so I can explain that to residents and businesses who are interested in using solar as well. Projects around electric vehicles, recycling and organics, projects in our parks, just like pretty much anything that you can think of that relates to sustainability, I'm probably doing something with it.
That's great. And I know last year we created a sustainability commission, which is a commission of residents that are working with you.
Sure.
So what does the sustainability commission do?
So the commission was established to advise the city council on matters relating to sustainability, obviously, and provide resident input and feedback on projects that the city is already doing, projects that the city is looking at doing, and really explaining, as residents, what's important to, people in Richfield. So it came out of a group that had a task force that was established for the organics drop-off program. And after that program was established, several of the residents were still interested in getting involved in sustainability efforts in the city and wanted to do so more generally. So the commission was established, and we have 7 residents on it right now, and they're all very excited to provide feedback on these issues.
Great. And I just remember having a group of residents contact me a few years ago, and our former Parks and Rec director, Jim Toppitzofer, and we had coffee with them, and they said, we really care about sustainability here in Richfield. We want to do something, and we want to support the city. And residents came to us and proposed this commission, and it took, shortly after we continued conversations, they brought bylaws to us. They had ideas of what this group could work on, and it is because of our residents taking leadership and ownership of something they care about, sustainability issues, that we now have this commission, that we're doing all of this great work. We have our climate action plan. That was one of the focus areas they had. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to lift that up because I think sometimes people don't realize as residents how much power and leadership they really have. And the Sustainability Commission is a good example of residents making something tremendously impactful happen in their community.
Mm-hmm. They were definitely the driving force behind that commission.
Absolutely. So I know we just entered into an agreement in partnership with Xcel Energy. Can you talk a little bit more about that project and the work?
Yep. So Richfield just partnered with Xcel Energy and Center for Energy and Environment to participate in a program called Partners in Energy. And that is a 2-year-ish process where a group of stakeholders from Richfield, from all over, it'll be staff, residents, business representatives, school representatives, social service organizations, faith organizations, all across the city will come together and create a team to create an energy action plan that's really meant to serve the city. So like the Sustainability Commission, was driven by residents, this plan will be driven by what these members of the community want to see in Richfield in terms of energy efficiency. So projects that could focus on residential energy efficiency, and it could focus on outreach with communities that aren't, usually targeted, whether it's English as a second language, or if it's residents that live in an older housing stock that might need more energy efficient, technology in their homes, or we want to work with businesses to get them to purchase more renewable energy or things like that. This team will really drive that program. And it's a 6-month planning process and then a 2-year total, so 18 months for implementation. And so it's really to get the city and various community members involved in energy efficiency and reducing their usage, which will also reduce their bills. So it's a win-win. And we're very excited about it.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me and telling us a little bit more about our sustainability work, and thank you for your leadership in our city. We're very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Rachel.